This video that I'm about to share is going to have two people in it. Two ladies that are presenters. And I'm taking and using their words of wisdom because I think it will help the greatest good possible to anyone that hears it. The first one is the lady Catherine Austin Fitts. She has worked in the government doing accountings and different financial sort of jobs. So she's a numbers person, and she got out of it because she just didn't like what they were doing, and basically they're stealing all the economy and they shut it down so that they can move into the underground position, which is required because they know that there's going to be some sort of event and they're doing it for continuity of government. So that's number one. That explains the C and the V angle of the reality and the unlogicalness at which it's been dealt at us. And then now the second lady is Gigi Young, who I also am very fond of because she's a spiritual medium and seer, sort of, and she helps rein back in the spiritual aspects and dynamics at which are really crucial involved into, whenever you're being laid siege to or made war upon. So I just like to let her say her part. And I'm going to put both of these in this video, and I will preface it with this. But if you go to Gigi Young's channel, you will find all her fantastic material. And if you go to Dark Journalist and look at Catherine Austin Fitts, I don't know if she has her own, I'm sure she does, but I always see her on there. In fact, I found both of them from Dark Journalist. So please like this and make a note of what you hear them say, because these are parts of the angles. These are the two angles that really need to be considered, above all.
I really don't want to do this. And he looked at me and he got frightened. He didn't encourage him that anybody would say no. And he said, but if you don't do this, you'll be out forever. I had an image of him taking my name off the locker in the underground base. Literally, that was the first thing that came to my mind. And I said, I think I'll take my chances, being out. We have central bankers and we have citizens. Okay? Mm-hmm. So let's say we have 100 citizens, but we have two citizens called private equity. Okay? We can make up names called BlackRock and Carla. Okay? Yeah. And so the central bankers print money out of thin air, $3 trillion. And they say to their friends, here's the $3 trillion, go buy up all the assets. And their friends say, well, that could be very inflating. What should we do? How do we knock the prices down and make sure, that doesn't set up hyperinflation? And the central bank would say, well, how about if we just shut down the whole Main Street economy, because then you can pick everything up cheap. They can't compete against you. So you can pick everything up for a much lower price, and then it will kick. And that'll be so deflating, it'll offset the hyperinflation will create by printing this money. Okay, so he shuts down more economies, destroys more families, kills more people. Right, he's a despot, right? And that's how the game plays. So now they've got $3 trillion, and what are they going to buy? They're going to buy everything. Right? So they buy houses, they buy real estate. Because you want to institute the smart grid, right? And so you got to re-engineer all the systems, but more importantly, once the smart grid's in place and you bring in all sorts of future energy, including lowering the energy prices, the way to make money on that new technology is by the real estate going up in value, right? Right, and so it's really cheap, particularly if you can get the price low and buy it with money that's printed for free. It's like free.
Amazing.
Remember the old game shows? Did you ever see the old game shows where they give women a shopping cart and they can get for free everything they can put in their shopping cart for 5 minutes? And the one who wins is the one who can put the most money, the most stuff in their shopping cart. So the women start running around the store like crazy, just throwing things in the basket. It's ridiculous looking.
Yes.
They make complete fools of themselves, but they get as much as they can get. That's what's going on.
Wow.
Except this time it's the central bankers printing so the women can run around and, shop essentially for free. I call it the great poisoning. And in my opinion, the American people are being poisoned. And it's intentional. But if you look at the difference between somebody who makes a concerted effort not to go along with the plan and somebody who goes along with the plan, you're talking about two very different. The people who will take responsibility and not go with the flow, can have very, very successful lives.
It's kind of it's a split that's occurring, would you say? You talked about people speaking about building a new civilization.
I can't tell you how many people in the last month, talented, educated, professional, successful people saying, something, we have to start a new civilization. I'm out. I want nothing to do with these people.
This society, the way it's constructed, and what we're looking at particularly in America now, is that you literally have to have unithought across the board.
Well, America, what has happened to America is the rate of entropy has reached an unbearable level. Now, it looks to me, if you look at how they're destroying the brand,
Yes.
so there's a concerted effort. You're trying to move the military, move the taxation, move the operational capacity to basically a globally controlled infrastructure away from a nationally controlled infrastructure. It's just part of the coup. You've moved over the money, and now you're moving over the assets and operations, including the military assets and operations. And so it really looks like you're trying to dismember the United States. And part of what you and I are talking about, the great poisoning, makes it a lot easier to do that. Without the great poisoning, you couldn't move the military.
Right.
There'd be too much infrastructure there to fight you and object. So the question is, what are the reasons, and how many people are they willing to kill to implement this system? Because it looks to me like this is this is experimental. They don't have this figured out yet, and they want to go really fast. And I think they're going to kill millions of people getting whatever they're planning on getting implemented.
You mentioned that in the report about Cuomo and Powell, and you said, I can see someone like Cuomo doing this after what he did with the nursing homes in New York City. But Powell, it was a little harder to understand because you have some knowledge of him personally.
So I don't know Powell. He was a Dillon Reed when I was there. So he's in the firm. You see him around. I mean, I would know to say hello to him, but I don't know him. But I have a feel for him because he used to work closely with Nick Brady. I think he went to Washington in the Bush administration with Nick. So in that sense, I know a little bit about him. And what's astonishing is that these guys walked into the room on August 22nd, 2019, and voted essentially to put 500 million people out of work.
Right.
Do you know how many people you kill when you vote to shut down the economy like that? And not only that, shut down the economy in a way where you're going to print money and give to your pals who are going to steal their assets. I mean, this is a fraudulent inducement on a global, massive scale. This is debt entrapment. This is predatory lending. This is every name of every financial fraud.
Mm-hmm.
So you are using the ability to create digital assets to kill people. Why would a human being capable of empathy walk into a room? And that's like deciding to drop more energy at home than sitting around the board. They're thinking officials could have done that. Why would you do that?
Wow. Scientific genocide.
Weakness is that this is, at the end of the day, this is a spiritual battle and it's an energy battle, and that's the part that a lot of people forget. And so their greatest weakness is that they need us. They need you. They're parasites.
They are.
They can't live on their own. These are extremely sick, parasitic people. They're not the kind of people that can survive on their own. They have massive, elaborate systems and ways of life because they're so weak. Make no mistake. They're parasites.
Come on up here.
Part of how they parasitically attach to humanity and live off of it is by keeping humanity in fear.
Hey, kitty.
Keeping humanity in survivalism. Keeping their brain in a fast, quick moving state and never getting into the deeper levels of the observer. Connecting with the soul.
She does say some really good stuff here.
So they try to keep us constantly afraid. When is the next event happening? When is the food shortage? When is the, we're living in fear.
Fear.
They need us to be afraid to the point that we are paralyzed. And through attrition, they'll begin to remove more and more of our sovereignty and more of our rights until they can do larger events that distract us enough so they can, control even more. So their greatest weakness is that they need us. So let's change our energy. Let's wake up. Spiritual energy like peace, like love, is like poison to them. They're like, they'll immediately recoil. They're possessed as well. We have to understand what spiritual possession is. Okay? So their greatest weakness is that they need us. And so our power to defeat the elites is to not allow fear to consume us, to have a meditation practice, to go into our heart, to not get funneled into news story after news story after news story that makes our blood boil, that makes our body tense. Take control of your energy. Take control of your mind.
I like that.
This is a spiritual battle, and it's a vibrational.
Hold on. She said something at the beginning that was actually what I wanted to share. Because she said that these people have already broken the law 1,000 times.
Achilles heel and pushing for these people to be arrested, pushing for these people to go through the justice system that exists. We have,
albeit it's crooked as hell, and they've got everybody
laws and codes on the books where much of the stuff that's happened in the last year is completely illegal. So we need to start going through and pushing that process and working together to push that through. This is the very real practical stuff that we need to do. We can't get distracted. And we have to understand that as we're doing this, as we're coming together to try to use the system that we have, we also have to understand that there's going to be lots of different cards that could be played. There could be, there's various different types of hacks that could occur that could affect different parts of society. There's UFO ops, there's various different cards that these individuals will play to not get caught. So we also have to understand that that's part of it as well. But their greatest weakness is that this is, at the end of the day, this is a spiritual battle, and it's an energy battle, and that's the part that a lot of people forget. And so their biggest...
Good job, Gigi.
Their greatest